Letter to Galatia. It probably isn't so easy to think of the prophet of the Old Testament while talking about Paul. Rather than shouting for justice like Amos, Hosea, Jeremiah, or Isaiah, Paul traveled all over the place to talk about Jesus. But there's one letter where Paul speaks like the prophets of the Old Testament, and that is the book of Galatians. Ordinary letters start with words declaring peace and gratitude. But the book of Galatians starts by shouting and pouring out scary words like a curse, talking about the mistakes of the church. And, unlike in other letters, Paul writes a lot about himself. Why did Paul show a particularly different aspect of himself to the church of Galatia? If you look at Peter's story written by Paul in Galatia, you would find the answer. This happened when Peter was in a city called Antioch. Peter was eating there with strangers. In fact, it was forbidden for Jews to eat with strangers. But Peter realized that God had removed the distinction between strangers and Jews. Because when Peter prayed for Cornelius, who was a stranger, he saw the Holy Spirit be with Cornelius. When they were talking and eating for a while, people from Jerusalem came to them. They were leaders of the Jews. Peter was surprised, so he left in a hurry. He was afraid to show them that he was eating with a foreigner in case they blamed him for it. Writing about Peter, Paul said that our faith doesn't become righteous because we keep the laws and rules or because we don't eat with foreigners, but that because we believe in Jesus. Then he said something we all know very well. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Paul talked to the church in Galatia like a prophet because Paul didn't want the church in Galatia to change Jesus' love into meaningless law and rules. He wanted us to remember that the only way we can be saved is by believing that only Jesus saves us and by practicing Jesus' love.